Hello and welcome on Watches TV, and I have to say that I've been a little bit spoiled a few days back as I was invited by Maurice Lacroix to participate in a very special launch event. Not only had I not been to Miami for a very long time, and how cool is Miami, but I was very curious to discover what the brand had to show us. Everything prior to the event was rather secretive, but I knew that it was a big launch for them. So they hadn't organized such a large thing for a few years. And yes, I mean, they did things pretty right. It was really cool, fresh, informal, fun. And at the same time, they obviously had a message to share as they introduced quite a daring new piece with the introduction of the Aikon Tide, a watch whose main characteristic is that it's made from recycled plastic housing a quartz movement. A watch catered to a younger and more sustainable conscious public, so compared to some of the timepieces we tend to talk about on this channel, well, this could feel a little bit odd, but I have to say that I like the product and respect the strategy and basically the guts it took to have done this. So I will quickly develop on that before going more into the details of this watch. Especially when over the last few days we've all witnessed how the digital space was taken over by this Swatch Omega collab. A fantastic marketing coup, of course, one which has slightly overshadowed Maurice Lacroix's launch. Reason why I think it's important to give a bit more insight behind this new Aikon Tide. One has to remember that not so long ago Maurice Lacroix was in a quite complicated situation, and I'm talking less than 10 years ago. So like some other brands at the time, well, they went a bit uphill in terms of product positioning, sometimes with some pretty good ones, but then you face yourself against some very strong player, not to mention the crown, and it's for sure hard to compete. So the good thing for them, and under the leadership of its CEO, Mr. Stéphane Vazer, is that they not only acknowledged this, but rapidly adapted their strategy, coming with a more affordable entry point into the brand, and with a new message. So a few years back, they launched the Aikon, a revival of a watch which had previously been quite successful for them, the Calypso of the 1980s. And though this is nice for the story, I mean, they knew what they were doing and testing, as this watch obviously had some codes of some other iconic models, and there's nothing wrong with this. They are for sure not the first ones to do so, but on top they named it the Aikon. So quite a smart move. And additional to that, they first introduced it as a quartz model, meaning at a very accessible price point. And seeing that the response was good, well, they invested a bit, made it mechanical with the introduction of an automatic version a couple of years later, and they built it from there to what was to become a really successful collection, with the addition of chronograph version, and last year even with a manufacturer model with a big date. So all this was accompanied from the start with an efficient communication strategy, reaching out a younger audience. And when sometimes I hear, oh, well, the Aikon is a cheap Royal Oak or things like this, well, I sincerely think, who cares? And I find it great that it enables younger consumers to get into watchmaking with a product that is fairly priced, a very good value for money proposition, and there's simply nothing wrong with this. I mean, look at some other brands who wanted to remain at a higher price point. Well, how are they performing? Not so great, right? Well, what I simply wanted to point out is that Maurice Lacroix had the guts and the intelligence of listening to the public and come with a collection suited for the next generation of consumer and still drive interest for watches in a world where its functional reason of being is highly questionable when we have access to time all around us. So they made it cool for a certain segment of the audience, and I think that even higher positioned brands should be thankful, as some of these current consumers might well go higher in their spendings in the coming years. So anyhow, let's go back to this new Aikon Tide, and I can only salute that they went one step further with this introduction. Like I said in the intro, this watch's main characteristic is that the case is made from upcycled plastic, and the brand collaborated with a Swiss company called Tide, thus the name of the watch. And this company has developed a comprehensive approach with the ambitious goal of cleaning oceans from plastics pollution. So in this case, they recuperate plastic bottles found in the sea around some islands of Thailand. They use renewable energy to transform these into plastic pellets, which then can be used for multiple purposes. So Maurice Lacroix entered a long-term partnership with this company, and these Aikon Tide watches are the first example of this collaboration. Okay, I understand that when we hear the word plastic, it doesn't necessarily feel like a positive thing today, but on the contrary, there is really a virtuous circle around this endeavor. Fishermen get paid to recuperate the bottles, renewable energy is used for the transformation, and at the end you do get a really highly qualitative plastic, and what I mean by this is that you have plastic and plastic. I mean, in this case, the case really feels well made, it feels strong, and actually it's unscratchable. And as a comparison, you have plastic used in cars, and there is quite a difference between the plastics found in certain German cars and on other cars. I mean, I had a BMW for 15 years, it stayed outside for most of its life, and the plastic just never changed. So this is what I mean by qualitative plastic. But beyond this, they came with funky and fresh colors, making it the perfect beach watch. That's Miami, I guess, and one that you can wear wherever and whatever you do. And I think that this was something precisely they wanted to achieve, and they managed to do so. So they also introduced slightly fancier models with the addition of diamond indexes. So yes, personally I think they did a good job, and I hope that with this they will be able to widen even more their customer base, as it comes at a decent price, around 690 Swiss francs, for something which is pretty cool and something you don't need to worry too much about. And it's now up to the brand to accompany this product adequately in terms of communication with the right partnerships and so forth, but I'm pretty sure they will do things right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video report. I had a lot of fun attending this event, and as a side note, we were only a few members of the press there. Most of the people were retailers of the brand, and going by their reaction, well, I think that Maurice Lacroix scored some strong points with this launch. Like I said, reaching to a wider audience with a sustainable message, dear to many people today. And if you want to know more about this interesting Tide company, well, you will find a link below, because their approach is really smart. So thanks for watching, see you real soon, and Viva Fun Watchmaking!